and welcome to Zero to Something, a place where we honestly talk about true founders' journeys, their ups and downs, and everything in between. And today we'll be joined by a guest, Kendra Caruth, a marketologist turned entrepreneur. So, hello, Kendra. Can you tell us a bit about you, yourself, and your startup?
Hi, Paulina. Yeah, I'm happy to. So, my name is Kendra Caruth. I was born in California in Silicon Valley. So, startup culture has something that I have always had around me, but I never really dove into it or saw myself pursuing it until recently when an idea sort of fell into my lap just to solve my own pain point. And here I am now creating a startup.
So, tell us a bit more about what your startup does, what problem you're solving, how you're solving it, just all that fun stuff.
So essentially, we're trying to solve the problem of online meeting cancellations. We all know that online meetings are the way that business is conducted nowadays, more times than not, or at least like we live in a new world where it's a virtual world where we conduct business online. And we really don't have the tools to create formalities in order to conduct online meetings and have mutual respect so that there are not constant cancellations and ghosting and flakes. We've all like had an online meeting cancel on us like 5 seconds before or that morning, and maybe we've built our whole schedule around that meeting, or we were just really looking forward to it, or we've prepped a lot for it. It's super frustrating. It kills momentum. It can just be hard, and overall, like, time is money too. So when you have your time wasted, we all know that you're ultimately losing money. Essentially, I was working with my co-founder, Steve Polgar, to start a nonprofit when I was in college called American Dog Society. My co-founder and I, we were dealing with online meeting cancellations a little bit more than we cared to, and we realized there was an opportunity to create a tool that allowed people to have agreements or policies in the booking process for when they're booking an online meeting. So we're building something where users can book a meeting with others, and in that process, the meeting attendee agrees to a customized policy that the meeting scheduler has attached to their profile. So the use cases are, if you are anyone in an online service, you could attach fees. So if someone's late or they don't show up, then they're charged, $5, $10, whatever you want, to their PayPal. So imagine like you're an online college tutor and like kids don't want to show up, but your time is money, like you need them to show up. Or you're an online career coach, anything where it's like you're having these reoccurring client calls. It's not a corporate environment, so the client doesn't need to go, right? But
Yes.
they've committed to go, but there's nothing enforcing that commitment. This helps to enforce that commitment. On the other side of the coin, we're doing kind of a carrot and stick approach where if you are a sales representative, you could utilize our gift card system we've integrated so that when people book with you, they know if they show up, a gift card will be dropped into their inbox. This is just essentially a sales tool. So we kind of have both a positive and negative reinforcement / incentive. Yeah, but the general concept is reducing cancellations.
That is awesome. I think we need that to also have it in everyday life besides business. That would be amazing as well. I have some friends who could use a bit of, stick for being late every now and then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was talking to a fellow founder yesterday, and he was saying how just in general, the world seems to, from his perspective, have less like accountability. Like our people are more comfortable just not showing up or breaking promises compared to maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Possibly, yeah. So I guess your tool is something that hopefully will break that terrible cycle that we're in.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really interesting. I have to wonder if it's like just we all know that because of social media and the internet, we all have this sense that we have so many options all the time. Like we know that for online dating, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
people have a hard time committing because they think that they have endless options. I feel like there's a little bit of a transferable notion to weirdly like business too, right? Like if
Yes.
you're doing a call with someone and some random person reaches out to you on LinkedIn, that person maybe doesn't feel as special because they're one of like a million people you have access to online.
That is true. I know your background is more in the marketing and nonprofit leadership, as you mentioned before. So, can you tell me a bit how you're finding this journey and how you ended up within the tech besides the inspiration point? Because I feel like, yes, we've all have some things that frustrate us, but we don't just go and build something to solve that issue, you know? It's very admirable that you actually did do that. So how did it happen? What were the steps? How are you feeling in that very new space for you?
Thanks. But yeah, I would say my co-founder is more the one who was like, let's do this. So the concept of making a tool to solve like this problem was something that I think wasn't too out there for him. So to give him some credit, I think like if it was just me, I'm not sure if I would have went for it. I'm so glad I did and I had that push, but I
Sometimes we
don't
all need that external push and inspiration, right, to do the thing that we want to.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, okay, awesome. So what is your role in the company at the moment? So you said your co-founder is more on the technical side.
Yeah, I'm serving as the CEO, so I'm just managing, well, not just, but I'm managing all of the broader strategy, the business outreach, just the next step and the 10th step and the 100th step of what to do.
So a lot of operational stuff, which is
hmm
incredibly important. Okay, okay. So you mentioned that your startup is quite early on. Can you tell me a bit about the phase you're on? I think I saw it's pre-launch. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. We are still just working on our MVP. So very early days. We have gotten a lot of positive feedback on the concept. So we're working on the MVP while simultaneously networking and just planting seeds. I find it really helpful to just be in person, to get feedback and hear from other people. So I've been going to a lot of events in person just to throw our concept out there and see what people think, so that when the time comes, if there's an opportunity for collaboration or investment, I've built those relationships already. So that's kind of the phase we're at. Yeah.
That is actually really awesome. And I think that's something that a lot of early stage founders can learn from because I feel like a lot of founders are just so concentrated on building the actual product that they don't pay attention to these other things that will happen once they're ready to launch. So it's amazing that you're building relationships with people already.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many benefits, like you said, trying to have these relationships already built, but it's also in the present, like that feedback can be invaluable because, I can have a conversation with someone and realize, oh my gosh, we didn't think about that, or that is such a big maybe hole in our plan, or that's such a good idea. Just talking to people, I think, as much as possible is super helpful. And you can LinkedIn cold message people all you want, but if you go to one event, you can get like 50 conversations that are like super amazing. So,
Absolutely true. And I think that's another very important point you touched upon that some founders get caught up on the idea of how I see it. And then they never get that feedback. And then it means that they're just building something they want, not the customers want.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's a lot easier to pivot before something's done being built than when it's done. um, Yeah, so it's been a really fun journey, just putting myself out there and getting to meet people. It has pushed me out of my comfort zone. I'm learning a lot. I'm really glad it like kind of happened to me almost. I wasn't expecting it. Wasn't on my bingo card.
So,
Yeah.
talking about the events, I saw you hosted an event not so long ago. And
Yeah, yeah.
what did you learn? What were some interesting takeaways from that latest event that you've attended?
Yeah, I think just when we explain our concept, a lot of fellow founders will try and get in the heads of an investor and then really like drill us on what could be anything we're not thinking of, any kind
Yes.
of like holes in our plan. So that's helpful. On the other side of that coin, like we also are still getting like really positive feedback, and that's really reassuring about like the general concept. um, so yeah, we've just been doing our slide deck and sharing
Hmm.
our concept and building in public, really been the most helpful thing at this stage.
Amazing. So how long have you been going at it now?
Just a few months, like 3, 4 months.
It sounds like it's going strong so far and getting positive feedback. When is the launch? So I went on your website and I saw that you can join the wait list. Very exciting, building that, anticipation. Whose idea was that?
Yeah, that was mine. Yeah, I think we are hoping to get a test group going soon. So if you join the waitlist, you'll get exclusive early access and yeah, just build that momentum. We're really excited to see so much interest already. And yeah, we're just excited to get it in people's hands.
Amazing. Yeah, that is awesome. So when is the launch being planned for?
Yeah. We don't have an exact
Mm.
date, but I'm thinking in a few months. We're really close to the finish line.
Very excited to see what you come out with, and I'd be very, very excited to try it out myself. So obviously it's still very early, and I think in the early stages you're very much inspired and pumped up for the success because you haven't faced as many difficulties. Have you faced any difficulties so far?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's like all the time you are learning new things or you realize, oh, I didn't think of that. And you have to be able to pivot very quickly and be flexible and have resilience, and just be open to the unknown. I think one difficulty would be thinking about our use cases. So
Mm.
yeah, our concept has a lot of applications, right? And like really, really, really early on. Like we're already early on, but like, week 1, week 2, we're thinking, oh, this could work for this, for this, for this. And you think more is more. Like the more people that
Yeah.
can use this, the better the product it is. Like not being very niche in like our verticals and just super excited. But like you go out into the world and you start telling people like all the applications, and then one after another, people are like, that one actually doesn't make sense. Or so like an example would be we thought like, oh, like online therapists could use this, which I think could definitely still be an application for a private practice, perhaps. So in our head, we're like, oh, yeah, that's great. But go out into the world and say that to people, and they might be like, oh, you're already automatically charged through your insurance, or there's just so many like things, right? And the problem with that is if you really don't think through your use cases, and if you have 5, 4 really, really strong use cases, but one of them, the person you're talking to doesn't think makes sense, they'll latch onto that. And like everything else will go in one ear out the other, and they like won't even care to even listen to what else you're saying because they're like, that one doesn't make sense. So that was like one hurdle, was really, really thinking through every single possible scenario and trying to make sure that we knew how to talk about our product in a way and we knew how to confidently say like what we know our target market would be. Because if you're not confident in that, people just won't even like listen.
Yeah, I can relate to that, but actually it's slightly different experience. So it was kind of the same. We were so eager and excited, and we're like, well, our product, because it's so configurable, we can do anything with it. Anybody can work with it. And then the moment you say it to anyone, really, they're like, that doesn't sound very convincing because
Yeah.
there is no product everyone can use, right? And so it took us some time to actually really, truly narrow down and give up on that idea of, oh, yeah, we can help everyone on the planet.
Yeah. And it can
Yes.
be hard to like let go of like a concept, right? Like you get so excited, you're envisioning something,
Yes.
but letting go is really where the magic happens. And sometimes you have to like get rid of the baggage almost, right? And then I think one analogy is like in that phase where we were trying to figure out like, okay, who are the home run target markets, right? Like, because we have so many people where like, I think there are really broad applications. But when it comes to our pitch deck and when we're talking about things, we only can talk about the people that entire group is like a home run. Otherwise, it's like it gets nitpicked, right? And it felt like we were like mining like out like a diamond, right? Like we're trying to like chip away until we get like the diamond in the center is
Yeah,
what it felt like.
I do get that. And I think it's actually a very common caveat, right? Because you're a creative person and it's your baby basically, right? You're spending all your time and resource and you want to make it as amazing as possible. And then you kind of get really caught up in this and you start just adding and throwing things in. Yeah.
Exactly.
At some point you need to know when to stop yourself and just say goodbye to all those amazing ideas you're having, but that just and concentrate on something else. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that was like a hurdle. What else? I mean, thankfully nothing crazy, but
That
like I would say it's just like the on like a more like vulnerable state, like it's just like being able to have a lot of decision making, like for me personally. So this doesn't have to do with like the company, but like
yeah.
for my personal journey, like the constant decision making and there's so many possibilities for like our go-to market strategy and like how we will just introduce this to the world. Like we have clarity on now, but like all the little like just day-to-day steps and decision making can be hard when it's like we are the canaries in the coal mine or like we're the first people that have
Mm.
done something like this, which is super exciting, but like yeah, there's no path, like written path, right?
For sure. So, can you tell me? I have a psychology background, and I also am very interested in discovering a bit more about the way founders deal because it's an immense stress, right? It's decision making and uncertainty. So, how do you deal with uncertainty and worrying and not being sure about things?
Great question. I like to surround myself with people that I can trust and I know have um, the same future vision as
Mhm.
me. Um, I think consulting people that also believe in what you're building and see its potential fully is really important. Um, I think also just like taking a step back sometimes, like if I am racking my brain about a decision, that decision doesn't always need to be made in the next hour. So if possible, like I can wait, like, even just 24 hours, and then usually the clarity washes over. Um, I would also say like continuing to have spaces that are a part of my routine before this
Mm.
project. So like I run a lot and I like to paint. So like still doing those two activities when I can is very grounding and meditative.
These are amazing strategies. I think, yeah, the support network and some types of routines that help your brain relax and whatever it looks like for you, right? Those are the most amazing things you can probably do for yourself as a founder. Bit of self-care goes a long way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also like just trying to remind myself like it's okay to be like a little bit afraid, but at the same
Mm.
time, like it's fine. Like just it's at least I'm trying. Like and I think I like embrace the growth that comes from it instead of seeing it as like, oh, this is a bad thing that's happening to me or like this is a hard time. I see it as like this is a way for me to be a better person and for me to learn a lot and meet lots of people. Like of course it's not always going to be easy, but like that's the point.
That's actually amazing that you mentioned that because so I do solo podcast episodes as well, and I talk about mental health founders. One of the first ways to combat any type of, fallacy or the way you think about the world or something else is reframing. So they're
Mhm.
reframing the way you think about it. And that's exactly what you did here, right? Instead of seeing something as a failure, just seeing it as a growing opportunity. And that's usually the first step of dealing with an issue, just looking at it from the other perspective. So that's amazing.
I agree 100%. I think you're so spot on about that. Yeah, I'm a quarter Japanese, and like Japanese culture, they have like sand gardens and that sort of thing. And the point of them, my mom would always say, is you're supposed to like walk in a circle around them and see
Mhm.
them in different perspectives. And it's like a lesson and an analogy, and like how in life you're supposed to look at things from different perspectives because it always looks different. And that's something like I try and practice because it does help. And it is like a privilege at the same time, too. I think like having gratitude and acknowledging that I'm in a situation where I can pursue this and I have such great people I get to work with. Yeah, always falling back on gratitude helps.
This is beautiful. And I really love that you put enough effort into your mental health. That's the base, right? You can't build if you're not feeling fine. So can you tell me a bit also about maybe what part of your identity and maybe character helped you in this journey and which parts held you back maybe a bit?
I would say on the help side, very much do enjoy leadership. I always have. I like thinking big picture. I've always been like deeply bothered if like systems don't work like in an
Mhm.
organization, or if it's like we don't know where we're going, like what's the end goal, what's the solution. I've always been solution oriented. I think like all these
Yeah.
traits have often led me to be in some sort of leadership position because I just like can't stand when like things are not organized or like systems don't work or like people aren't happy. Like I almost even went into like HR like when I was younger because I just love when like systems work for everyone and everyone feels seen and heard and that kind of thing. So those are all like core traits of mine, which I think are like obviously very applicable.
Incredibly fitting to the role you're doing now. And also your love for systems is partially, I feel like, what inspired the whole
Yeah.
like yeah, anyways, right? Because it's all about systems and other people not following those systems.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you can really feel the DNA of founders in the product. And I think that's the most amazing part when you feel that, when you know that in the product. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it like that. Yeah, I am like a spreadsheet queen, always having like an SOP, like sort of thing. But yeah, and then on the part that's harder, I would say like a main pain point for me is being a female founder in the tech world. And I'm also uh, very early in my career. I did not graduate college that long ago. It's been like a year and a half, maybe. So, um, that, and then also being in a world where I unfortunately don't get to talk to a whole lot of girls or women. I try and seek them out, but there just often isn't. I don't know what it is. Like that honestly has been shocking. I don't know why.
The number of female founders in tech companies is just ridiculously low.
Especially growing up in Silicon Valley. I grew up in Cupertino, like where Apple was founded. So very much Silicon Valley, surrounded by tech, that sort of thing. So it's been interesting because I always thought, I know how it works. Like I know what that world is like. But there's a difference between being like a middle schooler and just living in the town and then being now an adult and actually going to events and like being in the space. And so it's been a very recent thing for me to truly be in the space. Even though I lived right where it was happening. I wasn't going to things and actually meeting people. So now that I'm actually like really in it, it has been interesting and surprising and a little bit disappointing to see the gender inequality. And yeah, I honestly didn't realize how extreme it was going to be.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. So it's up to us, I guess, to
Yes.
encourage diversity and talk to more people. And I have some friends who organize like female in entrepreneurships groups. So it is, I think that's the one way to go about it, to kind of level out the field a bit as well. And feel like that's not something that prohibits you from reaching your goal, right? The gender you were born with.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Seeking out groups is super helpful. Even if it's in an online space. Because sometimes that is easier to find than in person. Um, Yeah, I'll have to get maybe a link or a contact for that. But with that said, I'm still meeting amazing people that are super generous, and with their time and their advice. So it's been a lot of fun just to meet
That's
such interesting people. I've always been the kind of person that has wanted to I naturally study like the way other people operate, especially like those I look up to.
that's-
'Cause like you were saying, you had a psychology background and you like to see like maybe like the patterns in founders or like the way people
yeah.
operate. I'm the same way. Like if someone has had great success, like I want to know like what
Yeah.
makes you tick.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
It does help. And this was why this is what I'm doing, right? As well. Just talking to people and seeing what I can learn, what they can learn, what we can share with other people. I think that's all about that, right? You get a chance to share with others your own journey, and it might help somebody else and make their journey a bit easier. And then they kind of, pass it on.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so I have a lot of fun with that. Like even business aside, it's been very rewarding to just
Mm.
talk to people like that and get to see what motivates them, what their advice is. So that's been a lot of fun.
Amazing. Amazing. I think the last thing I would like to ask, if somebody were in your place when you just came up with the idea, right? Just that moment, what would be the main thing you would tell them to concentrate on? What would be the advice you give them?
I would say the biggest thing is like just talking to people
Mm.
in person about your idea and being open to feedback early on before making decisions, like concrete decisions at least.
Yes, that's a great one. And I think it's often overlooked as we've talked before. And yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. It was incredibly interesting, and I genuinely wish you all the best on your journey and can't wait to look at your product.
Thank you so much, Paulina. This was really great to talk to you. I really appreciate you giving me the time and space to share what I'm building.